Hello, and welcome everyone. Thanks for coming to this evening's poetry reading featuring Michael Koch and James Cagney. I'm John Smalley and am a librarian here at the library in the Humanities Center on the third floor. While I'm waiting for just a few more people to join us, I want to take a moment to acknowledge our community and to tell you about a few upcoming programs. On behalf of the Public Library, we wish to welcome you to the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. As the indigenous stewards of this land, and in accordance with their traditions, the Ramaytush have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as caretakers of this place. As guests, we who reside in their traditional territory recognize that we benefit from living and working on their homeland. We wish to pay our respects by acknowledging the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community and by affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples. Throughout this month of April, the library is celebrating the 100th anniversary of Surrealism with a series of films, lectures, workshops, and exhibits. There's actually some nice book exhibits on the third and fourth floor, and there's a collage exhibit, sort of contemporary takes on Frankenstein on the fourth floor. Check it out. I'm just going to mention two of our upcoming Surrealism programs. This coming Sunday on April 20th, we'll be screening director Jan Svankmajer's feature film Alice, which is a surrealistic, sort of nightmarish version of Alice in Wonderland by the Czech animator and surrealist artist Jan Svankmajer. That will actually also be preceded by a short history of surrealist films. I'm going to show about 10 short films from around 1920 through early 1940s. And the following Sunday, The Wandering Soap Opera. This is a rare screening of a film by Raul Ruiz, the Franco-Chilean director. It was made in Chile in 1994, but not released until 2017 after his death. As far as I know, it's never screened in the country, nor has it been released as a DVD. That will also be preceded by some surrealist shorts. As you undoubtedly know, this month is also National Poetry Month, and tonight's program is one of the programs that we are having to celebrate the month. I want to mention two other programs in the series. I'm hoping you will come back 2 days from now, Saturday at 2 p.m. in this very room. Our new poet laureate, Jenny Lim, will be reading with the poet Nellie Wong, and they will both be accompanied by the violinist with the Del Sol Quartet, Ha Young Soon. They will be addressing the themes of life, death, and renewal in the historical and personal contexts of their poems. That program is called When Cherry Blossoms. Lastly, a week from today, next Thursday, also in this room, San Francisco Poet Laureate Emerita Kim Shuck invites poets Lisa Rosenberg, Carolyn Goodwin, E.K. Keith, and Paul Corman Roberts to read from their works. So there is a handout on the table to your right, which lists all the Poetry Month events. There's also flyers for the Surrealism events. There's also coffee and cookies there. Please do help yourself to that. You can find out about our events more generally by looking at our newsletter or by checking out our events calendar on our website, which is sfpl.org. So before I turn over the microphone to today's featured readers, I want to say just a few words by way of introduction. Michael Koch is a San Francisco poet and visual artist whose books include Street Theology and Ramshackle Detour. If you have a library card, we also have his book Jamais on the third floor. You can check that out. He says that his Jamaican-Slavic heritage only partially explains his passion for syncopation and absurdity. I'll mention that I've heard Michael read quite a few times, and that Street Theology is a favorite book of mine. James Cagney is the author of the outstanding award-winning poetry books Black Steel Magnolias in the Hour of Chaos Theory and Martian, the Saint of Loneliness. His third collection, Ghetto Koans, A Personal Archive, will be published later this year by Black Lawrence Press. I think I first heard James Cagney read in 2019 at one of Kim Shuck's Thursday evening poem jams. And at that time, he was reading from Black Steel Magnolias. And I remember thinking, wow, the poetry and its delivery are intense. Who is this guy? So I've been hoping to schedule poetry readings with each of these poets for some time. I tried to line something up with Michael in 2020, but then COVID happened and the program was canceled and the library shut down for months. And I thought about scheduling James Cagney, but I didn't have his email, and I was wondering how to approach him. And then by chance, I ran into Michael on BART a few months ago, and I told him, I really want to reschedule your 2020 reading, maybe in April for National Poetry Month. And can you think of a poet you'd like to share the program with? And he says, James Cagney. And I thought, wow, that would be amazing. Two of my favorite poets on the same program. So this was meant to be. I'm so glad that both poets agreed to read today, and I know you will be glad too. Please give a warm welcome to today's readers, Michael Koch and James Cagney.
I want to thank everyone for being here. Is that loud enough? I can be heard? That's good, okay. Because I'm one of those people whose hearing is none too keen, so I'm very sympathetic to those who don't hear so well. James and I were it is great. I love James' work. We were talking about the first time I heard him read and was deeply moved by his self-understanding and his understanding about the cultural context as a black man in America that he's operating in. That was very, I said, wow, this is someone to be reckoned with. But we were also talking about now as we're for a moment when the culture is in full-scale collapse. It's like the proverbial paper bag in the rain, the bottom falling out in so many ways. Like the poetic project of addressing that enormously challenging reality, but also not merely triggering people, because obviously all of us have a lot of things to worry about, and we obviously can't just morbidly indulge ourselves worrying all together, So hopefully we'll strike a note between the two of us that will be terrifying and amusing as the evening goes on. And we do have, James, did you put some books out too? Yeah, some, anybody's interested in books, there's some you can look at for. And as luck would have it, I'm a little hoarse today, but I guess that's better than being a little donkey or something, but anyway. Death of a Republic. As for reality, that's a clique I don't want to join, unless they sweeten the pot. I'm a polyglot dreamer, and the ice gets thinner nightly. Fascist come full force, crypto, proto, quasi, neo, or worse. I feel the burn, but the hearse can't keep up with me. I'm white as a footnote, black as snow, an ideal groom for the Queen of Bedlam. As we tied our tongues to the tide, the salt sighed, and the sea rose, a red thorn in space. Dawn glittered like fish as the gods made light of us. All we have is our thirst for love, for the wine on the verge of turning. This is called Some Wolves Are Aggressive, Some Are Aloof. First, I scribble something illegible on a scrap of paper that will dissolve in my pocket with pennies and random debris. Then I forget what I did first and painstakingly inscribe on a stone tablet with a chisel words so urgent and necessary they cling like dew on a blade of grass to the outskirts of eternity. Ask not what time the bus comes. There is no rubber. There is no road. It's amazing. I'm getting emotional, and not even for any reason, I guess. But these days, who needs a damn reason? It's entitled For the Aching. Our bodies ache for the aching. the flayed unmaking of the mask gone walkabout in our brain. Let's not kid ourselves. They're trying to murder us. But it's nothing new. Stars wax and wane, stumble and flame, little lanterns bedeviled by darkness. In the beginning was the Word, has swallowed its tongue like ground glass. Poetry after Auschwitz, song after Medgar, Malcolm, and Martin, dance after Gaza, Guantanamo, and Vietnam. Ask the mercury inside a glass thermometer. It's already the fire next time. Dead letter office. When you leave the alphabet behind, it's off to the races. Syllable by syllable, wind cajoles the trees. Authentic locales are bogus as rubber ants. God is a white-hot scimitar, melted ice, a stylish scarf, but you've got no pants. Así es la vida. No hay remedio. Paz, sinceridad, eternidad, locura pura es mi tío preferido. Remember, every earth dweller is the product of a broken home. To death with doves. Get scarred and stay scarred. Moral fervor and lazy beauty are fighting like pigs and spiders in a sea of non sequiturs. Modern life, regimented half-life, half-lit, mediated as ifs, out of kilter simulacra that turn the trivial larger than life and miniaturize the infinite. They want to kill us with bullets. Can we beat them to death with doves? Of course, that's an open question. I have no idea what it means, thank heavens, but off color. Phones were once as immobile as deeply rooted trees. I'm fighting to maintain the premise of my postage stamp side life. As Professor Hussein from Howard University said, we're in for one long slog through the bowels of racial animus. Our self-awareness is sporadic. We hardly show up for the show trials. We're ascending to heaven in gas guzzlers from hell. Our tyrant king is a fool's gold worm gleaming in the mire like a lost golf ball. Fast forward to happy hour. Make a tuxedo out of discarded pajamas. Don't give an inch. Feed your dreams. Autopsy oblivion before the body cools down. Eternally on the Cutting Edge, November 5th, 2024. People savor lies. Who wants to be moored to 4 dimensions? Is a stingray a souped-up muscle car or a menacing marine creature characterized by salt crystal beauty? Lies are cost-effective shortcuts to glory. I'm not going to lie to you. The ocean, dangerous when wet. It takes 2 to tango. In vino veritas. Small plovers and noisy tractors litter the beach's off-key thunder. Or is that the surf speaking in tongues? Trust me, drink a shot of bleach. Guzzle some horse dewormer. For lustrous hair, try petrified lynx urine. I swear in my mother's grave, the truth and nothing but the truth is dead. Sometimes poetry is a boiled potato with a pinch of salt, an exotic extravaganza of rare ingredients, insatiable hunger itself, a sobering hint that the well of wine has run dry, a stifled gasp, a guttural groan, a crystalline note higher than a crow can fly. Again, I go first one place and then another. Barrels and semicircles, men in blue, silos under grasses, bronze light off bells, and do I want to go down again? Oh yes, smoke rises, and love, dark root, scatters its wicks in the wind. Oh yes, I want to go down again. At length. Interview me at length. I've got serpents in the credit column and an exaggerated foreground. My front towers disappear under close inspection, leaving a hard, gem-like absence. I'm alone dancing cheek to cheek when the bulls barge in. Then I hunt, fish, and master the textile arts. Finally, in your night-riddled fissures, I lose my jazzy nicknames. And this next poem is written for a project conceived by the local poet Bobo Soleil to commemorate Al-Mutanabi Street in Baghdad. Al-Mutanabi was the name of an Arab poet who lived 1,000 years ago in Baghdad, was a legendary literary figure, and there was an alleyway slash street in Baghdad, which was a gathering place for book vendors, coffee house, musicians, poets, chess players, thinkers, and general creative riffraff gathered to a bustling scene, and it was destroyed by a terrorist bombing during the course of the American invasion and occupation. And so he has this project where poets from all around the world write poems addressing that. And this is entitled, On a Pyre of Blue Sugar. Death haunts every rhyme. Good day, Mr. Death. And every song, every cascade of crimson nothingness asleep in our marrow or jazzing our bones. Our books are a mountain of broken spines, and the blood won't stop to have coffee. Death sets a blistering pace, its shadow on the sidewalk an upside-down guitar spilling tristesse. But death stiffens your drink with a gut-wrenching growl, a discolored beard, a grammatical lapse that feeds the guillotine or torches a bouquet of poppies. Death takes a break, a breath, a breather, then disembowels a poet like a piebald heifer and autopsies a cup of sand. After all, the poet Al-Mutanabi has been dead 1,000 years, and death wears Beelzebub's bullwhip like a sprig of oleander. God, these are a lot of grim poems. This is entitled The Stats Don't Lie. Yes, we were rambunctious and immortal for a minute. Our nether parts, a collision of leopards and volcanoes. Our brains, a boxcar of good wine. We shoveled snow with Francois Villon and spent our mornings like counterfeit coins. We were bushy-tailed high-steppers, all right, but we rolled the bones one time too many, and one time too many were only human. Dizzy. I love wine described as brooding and dense. Children quick as kites. Women like barrels of brandy. I love hats, but malheureusement, they mess up my hair. I love cats, but only 10% of them, and dogs unconditionally, except 89% of small dogs and half of big dogs. I love the languages I butcher like a payaso. The word buckwheat, extended ceasefires, diplomatic overtures, the vertigo of detours that complement the cheap red wine of my proletarian imagination. When everyone mourns, laugh and get dizzy. When all are jubilant, it is time to talk of death. You know, it's a funny thing about death. This is a little sidebar here. You know, there's so many indignities in life, so much nonsense you have to put up with, but one's own immortality, one's own mortality is the biggest insult of all. There's no way of getting around that. I'm sorry, you know. All these other things they're hard to bear, but one's own, you know, brief passing through this world, it's quite an insult, and I think we would all agree with that in general. Yeah, and that's too, and a strong case can be made for that too. You know, I'm an atheist, but I'm open to any type of superstition, any type of belief. You know, I'm down with it all. So this is called When the Seedlings Talked. I choose to ignore the weeds whispering intermittently. I am going mad, but not mad enough. The grave gives birth to song after song, and brandy kicks off my backseat breakfast. It's Christmas Day, 1977, all over again. My buy now, pay later Kingston cousin drives us to Montego Bay as if his dreads were on fire. A kamikaze Grand Prix racer running the leisurely Love Eyes off the road. He would be dead in months, going down in the Caribbean in a plane stuffed with ganja, knowing only that the sun would be a red giant, 200 times its present size in 30 billion years. This is entitled, Love is a Ramshackle Truck Full of Explosives and a Driver Who Hasn't Slept for Days. You're the space between raindrops in a torrential rain, a headline in a foreign language. The presidential palace is burning. Reading minds. As I asked my pal, Pinky, are we gentlemen beyond suspicion or cousins of Cain, doomed to wear shades at midnight, 5 o'clock shadows at noon? The sun is talking a blue streak, but the coffee grounds are coy. The clock loves a circus entombed in geological time. As Pinky responded, before making a triple bank shot like a prodigy in his prime, the odds are steep, our time's not long, and only an atheist can read the mind of God. Had I had. To be human is to be dazzled, dismayed, and dying. As my wise old uncle would have said, had I had a wise old uncle. And would that sagacious old fool have sung at dawn a cacophonous song, ruthless as a tiger's silence? This is entitled, But My Real Wealth is in Harriet Tubman $20 bills. The trek from callow youth who knows little to old man who knows less was arduous, but not without its sublime buffoonery and confusion. I mixed a few metaphors, participated in my era's epistemological crisis, and danced some polyrhythms to a dead heat. I often went too far or pulled up short. I cried wolf when I should have cried fire. I pigeonholed the parrots, but let the ravens run free. I was a tongue-tied polyglot, a hapless grammarian, skulking in back streets for the golden word. As for the moon, I inhaled its dark fragrance. As for the stars, I let them sweat. Yeah, I'll do a couple or three more. This is called Neptune's Purse, Spring. I've seen spring subtle and I've seen spring wild. its flowers the child of white lightning. Spring's color wakes us up and then it shakes us down. Clouds bloom in cracks and make a purple sound. Spring knocks out Sugar Ray, slaps him silly with a song. A feisty green fanfare straddles right and wrong. Some springs last a century, some stop short of birth. Some stow away in slave ships, stealing gold from Neptune's purse. All right, I'm going to finish with you. These last two. This is called At the Final Frontier. Flushed with sun and hashish, I stroll the parapet, arm in arm with loneliness. I stare out toward enemies, but where are they? Only my hungers, consuming me like the chimes of Calypso's song. I should be silent, listen and look, but I'm a chattering magpie. What is an opal to the blind, or starlight to a fish? What silent beast is stalking me? The moon is rising, my fears are dying. No one can steal this emptiness inside me. Thank you. Conclude with this one called The Flesh is a Boat. The flesh is a boat destined for kindling after the river is crossed. But we are in the water, our asses are freezing. Give me a fistful of soup. Great. Thank you so much. And now I turn it over to my esteemed colleague, James.
And good evening. Hey, everybody. Michael, you are a lovely, gorgeous, gorgeous poet. That was a beautiful, beautiful set, by the way. My God. Man. Interesting. I'm scared. Okay, I'm almost getting my act together. Hang on one second. All right, I'm going to do it. With your kind permission, I'm going to read this this poem I just drafted the day before yesterday, so I always feel a little bit raw and just kind of like, I don't know, I'm about to show you the brand new baby in a way, but I'm still working on it. The paint is still wet on this painting. But if you allow me to get through this, I promise I will be pretty, okay? All right. Yeah, this poem is actually a form. It's a ghazal. And if you had not heard of that, basically the ghazal is a series of couplets. And the way to write them, you usually end one line with a specific word, but I'm going to end that line with a phrase, okay? This poem is called Gayle King is in Space. What shall we do while Gayle King is in space? Keep your head up. Look right next to that black hole. Gayle King is in space. Kindness, dead. Politeness, dead. Being considerate of others is a failure in character. America is not great enough, so Gayle King is going to space. The president appears uneasy around free-range children, but so what? Education and history are being dismantled by the illiterate, and Gayle King is going to space. Our nationally approved cruelties, caged children are easy to babysit while their parents are imprisoned for the indignity of being born somewhere else, but Gayle King is going to space. The airport resembles a city-sized ashtray with planes crushed into the tarmac like cigarettes. 298 air crashes in 4 months. Mid-air, helicopters spit screws like popcorn flakes, all while Gayle King is in space. There have been no police shootings, no violent protests over blood-spilled traffic stops, no black lives were urgently needed to matter while Gayle King was in space. The president's autobiography, The Cuckold Cuckoo, was written by ChatGPT, which later drafted a lawsuit requesting royalties and co-writing credit. The media missed this while Gayle King was in space. Billionaires trip over themselves and faceplant into a constitutional crisis. The stock market detonates to the dancing chorus of a billionaire's harem while Gayle King is in space. A former president has kept a recommended reading list for 15 years. A current president once shook an unread book in front of St. John's Church to quell violence, but refused to touch the same book while being sworn in a few months prior to Gayle King going to space. A 20-year-old gamer appears to be a better diplomat in China than any of the hillbillies waving from the front stoop of the White House. Now listen to the story of a brain-dead dud. No one in China realizes the importance of Gayle King being in space. Our insult comic leaders, their language boiled down to its stereotypes, explain that a felon can be a world leader as long as he is blank. Bankrupted casinos are covered with a white sheet while Gayle King is in space. A pop star sang, "What a wonderful world," to the world, high above the world, while in an Amazon delivery drone. Sitting just inches away from a silent, non-singing Gayle King, amazed to be in space. There's a live car commercial on the state lawn. C-SPAN, sponsored by QVC. Only a man who doesn't drive can sell a new car that resembles the front-end loading dumpster while Gayle King is in space. Immigrants of all ages are imprisoned unless they can show an orange tongue. Stay on your knees until the briefing is over. Our Russian First Lady is immigrant enough. She smiles on the inside while Gayle King is in space. Your dirty truth might cost you money if you trigger the algorithm. So wash your mouth out with a filter of bitcoins until Gayle King returns from space. All right. Thank you for allowing me to do that. And I sent that poem to 3 friends, and one of them wrote back and said, "Who is Gayle King?" And I was like, exactly. Thank you for the kindness for allowing me to do that. This poem is called Forget-Me-Nots. We walked, not wanting to get anywhere, crushing a carpet of blushing forget-me-nots, Myosotis sylvatica. Then, through a regiment of trees, pocked, peeling with eczemaed bark. If it's still there, he said, there's something I want to show you. Beneath a choir of leaves in harmonic devotion, he points to a living sculpture, a hibiscus rose, curling into vintage pastel, the shade of an expensive steak or bronzed sun dozing in a foreign sea. It was the size of a human heart, having ceased beating to encourage being held. Floating before me, weightless, feathery, its parchment petals smooth as lips, kissing dew off the face of the morning. Dewdrops, misting an alchemical sutra too ancient for translation. A language of perfume, reaching and licking in pantomime of prayer, cottoned, candied, and swallowed through air. This is called Ultraviolet, written for my friend Christian, who was from the Midwest, by the way. My heart melts in your palm, Oakland, like a sun undressing itself in the bedroom of the ocean. The strobe lights pulsing along your horizon are mine. I blaze for you. your cooling summer night swaddled in cotton. If I give the season my all, pay me back in a slot machine sky, cashing out stars. Since your streets never frost, edit out my memories of snow and marbled dunes of salt. Your rich black earth free of plastic or any fakeness is the right soil to be transplanted. Sometimes I want everything darker. I wish even the daylight appreciated the elegance of black. Teach my skin your philosophy of breezes, moving across me like a nor'easter, having just learned to kiss. All right. Whoa. And this piece, nice, is called Proposal. I make pilgrimage to the ancient temple of the sea, where I construct a driftwood altar of hydrangeas and grape hyacinths to propose to you, my ocean, in your evening gown of lilac and fuchsia. Take these diamond sparks sizzling through my palm. Let me bring the hurricane and lay a bouquet of sunken ships full of watermelon and coconut in your private lagoon. Let these timid fingers soothe your capillary waves while you drop stitch centuries of quilted foam. To you, time and its trivia is a running joke. Go on and laugh the sundown while I wipe the sandpipers from the corners of your eyes. I have been taking cowrie shells for antidepressants. God help my superstitious doctors prescribing drugs that make society appear to be okay. My heart serrated after punishing affairs with emptiness. With boundless scrolls of seawater, cleanse me down to my pilot light, here at the beginning of all waters, where spirit burns like a bonfire at dawn. Awesome. I'm reading you some brand new poems, and I'm going to read you a couple more, and then I'm going to do a couple from the book. So this is a poem that I wrote. There's been these sort of ghost stories that I've had in my life, and it was nice to be able to write both of them out into a poetry. That's the word I was reaching for, which is wrong. But you can have it. Please take poetry if you would like. But here's one of those poems. This is called "Only Some Houses Are Haunted." The walls of my bedroom became portals after the house realized my mother, its longest living owner, was dead. They itched, scratching themselves compulsively. Every room moaned with different concerns. For an entire day and night, a tea candle left burning on one of her souvenir state plates could not be blown out. When I was a child, my father drunkenly commanded me out of bed to lecture me, never fear the dark, but learn to live in it, as it was all he knew for certain. He mumbled his final lessons on darkness, sitting invisibly at the edge of my bed while I licked the last crumbs of sleep from overnight's plate. The weekend my grandmother died, she paid her respects, checking for fever while I slept, despite me skipping her funeral. Ghosts are a reflection of a blank. In 1945, ghosts in Hiroshima were flash burned onto the ground and any walls stubbornly left standing. My mother's voice was like those shadows, still on duty in the house, overheard in a cocktail party enclosed within my bedroom wall. She didn't scare me. It is only the attention and curiosity of the unknown dead that terrifies. They don't know they no longer have my trust. Unlike me, they don't know how to let go. All right. Yeah, this is called Meridians. The only doctor's visit with my father, I was sick with trust. Showing off skills of invisibility, I lie beneath the whisperings of a white doctor and my father as intern being taught the body. This was the first time I remember my father genuinely looking at me. I felt an invasive pressure, something being peeled. The men's eyes, curious, thoughtful. This is how a son earns his father's love, allowing himself to be edited into preferred otherness. If thy right eye offends, shrugs God, the chef staring at a returned plate, then pluck it out. But this isn't about what God wants. This is about me, the adopted, familiar stranger. Perhaps there is more than enough of me to trim into perfection. 2 stubborn, silent decades would pass before I began to understand. His final afternoon, I stood over him while he reached for a mirage of water, the cup and straw at his lips, teasing, vaporous. He moved as if to get up for his extinct job, and right then I saw it, his spongy pistol, disarmed and fangless. I spied with my adult eye my father's secret other house, where every unspoken thing lived, known yet nameless, and having nothing to do with me. Yeah. You know what, I will, after reading that, because I was adopted, I keep having conversations with my dead parents that raised me. So this really briefly, this is a short poem called Dead Cat on the Line. And that title is actually a gospel song by Marian Anderson. And in the song, the first opening lyrics of it is, quote, "If a child doesn't resemble his father some way, there's a dead cat on the line." What's a man to do raising a son he doesn't recognize? Sit in the garage and smoke like a god. Read the cursive divination unfurling midair. Contemplate open heart surgery of a Cadillac while cancer pulls into the driveway. Death, the rich uncle who never knocks, his smile an unpaid debt. On his final day, Daddy almost said something before he called shotgun and split, leaving in his wake an inventory of broken bottles, quarters stacked high as bullets on a barrel house bar, an echo of suns spilling everywhere. All righty. It's coming up. All right, I'm gonna read some poems from the book real quick. Yeah, this is called "The Fire in Her Eyes Redefines an Apple." The ritual of fruit begins again in June, when buckets of smiling plums and blistered peaches arrive for her in cars, altering our kitchen into a steaming workshop. Soon blackened pots boil with our life's winter blood. She quickly buries the dead in a cemetery of sugar where apricots and pears await to be baptized and born again as jam and jelly. Late summer brings chopped cabbages, cucumbers and ancient spices, all bathed in a sauna of hot vinegar and crushed red peppers. The walls of our kitchen come alive with the sweat of our ancestors who live again through recipes. The dead continue to feed the living with greasy fingers, stuffing our mouths with history's sweet cuisine. Mama leads us to her garden and motions over a field of greens, their vibrant tongues lapping sunlight like thirsty dogs. She tells us this is a lost art and warns that our wives might be useless to our children. Weeping, she presents the bouquet of her hands, fragrant with 40 years of stewed tomatoes, summer squash, sweet corn, and candied yams. She forecasts her death and instructs us to sprinkle her body with salt until her skin appears wild with dandelions. Place her in our biggest pot and simmer to a low gravy. Seal her in a glass jar tomb. Store her in a cool, dry place and wait until the fog of poverty settles in the valley of our ignorance when there's only rainwater, credited bread, and the memory of meat. And you know, actually, yeah. And I'm going to read this in dedication to a good friend of mine that some of you may know, Steve Arnson. This is called Bandon Beach. We race a drowsy sunset and storm barreling over the ocean to return after 10 years to Bandon Beach. Rain pinwheeling before our car's headlights like sparklers. We park beneath crawling sand dunes sprouting seagrass and let the motor idle. We stand near the cliff, wind racing up from the beach 2 stories beneath us at 60, 70 miles per hour. Turn our backs on the firing squad of the ocean. This is ill-advised. And lean into the soft coffin of howling wind. I turn to you, your eyes fevered with happiness, and watch you slide down the staircase to a shoreline boiling milk white. Basalt rock rising from the surf in natural totems, bellowing to the sky, to the blackening sky, like Shakespeare's witches. Everything around us is alive and wails. You run into the black portal of a nearby cave and scream. Here, in the chaos and shrapnel of falling night, a scream is appropriate shorthand for prayer. I run in after, alighting the cold torch of my cell phone. You rinse the peppery sand from your palms beneath a pool of alabaster light, confessing then how you'd fallen while skipping down beach stairs rendered soft as flour. The cave, its scalloped reptilian walls, the soft palette of its floor is dependable and safe, while outside the sea roars its death song and waves chew the shoreline. We dare one another to leave first while the tide soldiers forward and night falls hard drunk against the ocean, all while the sea clamors toward us, harvesting screams from both our mouths, leaving us as one leaves a lover, speechless and swallowed by darkness. All right. My show is over, and I'm going to read one final poem that will be in the new book, which again, as John mentioned very kindly, is called Ghetto Koans, A Personal Archive. And it's all these weird little descriptions of living in Oakland all of my life. This poem is called Commonalities, and this is where we stop. My roommate / landlord brought to my door the one guest at his party who wouldn't talk. "Here," he said, "meet him," and tossed a freshly caught stranger into my room. I gave my guest the only chair and set up a chessboard. Through my now open door, a toddler wandered in, jacketed in corduroy, tiny hands, planetary eyes. My room opened over him like a city, skyscraper ceiling, a milk crate library threaded with rope lights, a flea market dresser and TV from which Godzilla rampaged. A woman tiptoed in as if sneaking through a church service and silently guided the little man out. She never looked up. He never looked down. At the end of our game, my guest said, "Where that blunt at?" after the only refreshment I offered. I fished it from my drawer and led him through a dining room full of people. We were invisible to everyone except the tiny man who pursued us with his eyes. The back porch, a sparkling black circuit board sky. We sat and traded commonalities, coincidences. Clouds drifted past and we sent sheets of smoke after them. The sky was so immense, you could see it with your whole body. I realize I've been here before and say so. A fishing processor, Alaska, spring 1995. I sailed the Bering Sea chasing herring for money and earned nothing except fatigue, I said. He said, I learned to play chess on a ship off the coast of Ghana. Smoke wriggled between his fingers and curled like lace from his mouth. These African brothers set up a board and played every night. He and I exchanged what we knew of stars and grids and types of drowning. We knitted clouds worthy enough to interweave the sky. We talked until dew flurried and the night stared back at us. We talked until our fingers fidgeted, empty and cold. We out-talked the party. It had finished by the time we came in for the night. Table clear, house silenced, we shook hands. Two ghosts haunting the same building. Strangers having forgotten we were once brothers, or vice versa. Why am I telling you this? There are jokes without punchlines, stories without endings, lives that rhyme and make sense together, but only once. Many nights I have been the little man smoking with God alone and proposed a chandelier of constellations for the lonely, those dependent upon celestial navigation. That night, there was no moon and no darkness either, just a map without boundaries, a pop-up shop of casual mercies shaped like love affairs like stars that dazzle only to die, leaving a light that continues to echo for 10,000 years. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you, James Cagney. That was fabulous. One more round of applause for James and for Michael Koch. I see we have some books on the table. Please support your local poets. Have a book. We can stay here for a little while longer and socialize. There's still coffee and cookies. I hope you'll come back on Saturday to Jenny Lim's poetry reading in this very room at 2 p.m. Thank you, everyone. You're a great audience.